Welcome back to Inside Casting with Tracy Winters and myself, Kim Swanson, answering some questions about casting.
What's your best advice for young actors or actors who are just starting out?
Best advice.
If you could say one or two things,
I would say study. Number one. You have to get good training. One of my dear friends, Brian Cutler, I love one of the statements he says. He says, a dancer dances every day, even if they're not performing, even if they're not in a company. A vocalist vocalizes every day, even when they're not working.
So true.
A cellist plays every day. An actor sits at home and waits for the phone to ring.
I know.
And
then panics when it does ring.
Right.
Because they're not in shape.
Exactly. And you have to get your chops up. You have to get into a good class where you have good cold reading skills. And there really should never be such a thing as a cold read. When you get there, even if you don't have the sides in advance, there's no reason why you're not arriving to your audition 15, 20 minutes early, taking that script outside and saying it out loud. Number one, you have to say your copy out loud. Actors tend to, pick up their copy and they go, and then they go in and then it comes out and you see this look on their face of, oh my gosh, that doesn't sound like it sounded in my head when I said it to myself. You have to say it out loud. But that comes with practice.
Sure.
And if you're not getting to audition a lot yet, the way to practice that is in a good class.
Perfect point.
And I do believe that a good class should include a camera with playback.
Okay.
Another one of the statements that Brian shares with me, and it's such a perfect statement, is I think that teaching acting without a camera is like learning to ride a horse without a horse.
Oh. Yeah.
You have to, I think seeing that playback is really important.
Good point.
Because I think that a lot of the mistakes actors make once they're on camera, they don't realize they're making till they see themselves played back. Even in simple things like slating, they don't understand how your energy needs to be up.
Right.
And you need to look bright and ready to go at a moment's notice. Because when you're on set for 12 hours, I need to know if you're sitting in the wagon and you're kind of sequestered by yourself for 6-7 hours and you're reading, and now we say, okay, you're on, and I need you to scream and die, that you're not going, well, let me wake up here a little bit. We don't have time for that. I need to know that you're on, that you can be on like that. And your slate often tells me that.
Perfect.
So, so even those little things that you don't realize you do wrong, you can find out with playback. I've had students who've gone to class in playback, they go, wow, I didn't realize I was so boring.
Oh,
I didn't realize my energy looked so low. I felt like I was really great energy, and then I saw it played back. I was like, ooh.
Good point.
Wasn't what I thought it looked like. Right. So I think camera work is really important.
Right, because it is a visual medium.
Right, exactly.
Right. Any other advice for young actors, like child actors? Or?
Well, with child actors, I do cast a lot of children. I do a lot of toy commercials, and a lot of those kids have gone on to work in film and things. I think my big piece of advice is not to grow up too fast. I saw an interesting interview with Ron Howard once, and I think it was on like Letterman or something, and they were talking about how, he said, why did you manage to stay so normal when so many other children actors of your time ended up with so many issues? And Ron Howard said, he remembered being on set with Andy Griffith, and he was just acting out. He realized the power. Wasn't that a great interview? He realized the power that he had, and he decided just to act up, just because he thought he could get away with it. And Andy Griffith took him and put him over his knee and spanked him and said, you are the child, I am the grown-up, everybody go home. And he called the day, and everybody left in the middle of the day, and they said, if you don't straighten up, you will not be on the set anymore. And then he realized that he was the child, and there was a real comfort level in that. And I think that all too often in Hollywood or anywhere else on camera, people forget that these are still children. And they're afraid to discipline them. Oh my gosh, we don't want to upset them. If we upset them, they won't do well on camera. Let's give them the 25 green M&Ms they want, let them bounce off the walls. And that's such a big mistake.
It is.
Because the rest of the world doesn't appreciate that.
It's hard too, if I'm in the room with a very young actor, if there's a lot of pressure from the parent to do well. So I always try to establish a little bit of a personal rapport. I know I'm not your mommy, but we're going to pretend for a minute that I am your mommy. So we can get that child, they have that wonderful childlike spirit, and I think that's what we're both talking about.
Exactly.
Right? To be able to keep a hold of that.
I think you're exactly right. And honestly, when I have auditions, parents aren't allowed, and that's the case, I think, with most casting directors. And one of the things when I audition, I make notes about the parents. So the director knows, do I need to have them off in another room with a monitor, and do I need to keep them separated from their child when we're on set?
Right.
Because sometimes that can be a real detriment to a child's career. Unfortunately, parents do more damage, meaning well.
Yes, always meaning well.
And, you know, trying to, they'll oftentimes coach the child in advance if they have sides or they've seen a storyboard. The kids come in coached a certain way, and then when I give them the real direction, they're lost. They can't do it. They can't bend to it because it's been so ingrained. You're going to audition today, and when you audition, you're going to walk in the room and you are going to do
this way.
And they want to please their parents, and now they've got somebody else they're supposed to please, and now they're really confused as a child. So I think the worst thing a parent can do is over-prepare your child. Let them be their child. Let them be the child, and let the casting director do their job.
Right, exactly.
So, thanks for watching us again on Inside Casting. Glad to have you. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week.